Funny. It's got a really funny name. It's called the Chicken Tax. It's a really funny name.
Hollywood at this point, I mean, Hollywood is basically just for old people.
Most applications on Windows are
Exactly.
not Windows.
Yeah! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Family Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Macker from the iTunes Fanboy.
I am TabbyCat406, or now known as TC Tech on YouTube.
And my name is Alpha Wolf.
And as always, we're getting started with a whole lot of... We have lots of topics to get into, so let's go ahead and get started for our first topic, which is that... This one is we should be pretty brief on because we've already ran a lot of stuff into the ground, but Apple Intelligence features are not coming to the European Union.
Wow.
What a shock.
Yeah, I know. That's That's so predictable.
All I'm gonna say is Apple's giving the EU. It's probably the EU restricting us, but the EU is like getting the worst version of the iPhone now.
Oh yeah.
And people are gonna start like putting their iPhones to the American region. I don't know if this is gonna be like actual region lock chip wise.
Yeah,
or if it's just
they
gonna
have
be...
some region lock chip wise, I know.
Wow. So now people aren't going to be buying European iPhones in the US. People are going to be buying US iPhones.
Makes me wonder though, how are we supposed to travel to
people
Europe
used to
and
buy
still use our
European
phones
iPhones.
though?
I feel like...
Because that's the one thing that makes me so nervous
The
about
US phones
a
will-
region lock thing. The second that phone leaves the region it's supposed to be in, then, well, how does it function? Do you then have to go out and buy a second
No, so it's
iPhone
the
in
same
a different
phone.
nation? It's just that's
No, so it's pretty much so I used to be into like Nintendo consoles, and they used to have like region locks where basically whatever country you buy the phone from, the features are locked to those that like. So if you bought I think a 3DS in Japan, you can only play Japanese games. But if you brought it to the US, you could still play the games, but you couldn't play games from the US. So pretty much it's like if you buy an iPhone in Europe, you can take it to the US and it'll work. You just won't be able to use Apple Intelligence. Same if you brought a phone from the US into the EU. You would probably still be able to use Apple Intelligence, but
You couldn't connect it to European carriers.
I'm pretty sure you would be able to, because it's still going to be unlocked. The
If
second that
it's
they
on
make it so
AT&T
you
or
can't...
T-Mobile, you can probably still do it because they use GSM technologies, but if it's Verizon, then you won't be able to because they use CDMA, which is not really used outside the
No,
US.
Verizon uses GSM now.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I wanted to
CDMA shut
say, I
down,
don't remember the
believe.
last time I heard of a CDMA phone, at least as of recent.
Oh, I'm so used to
CDMA 's
Verizon
done.
being CDMA because of the iPhone 4.
I hate CDMA. CDMA was the worst technology ever.
I don't even know what the difference between those two are, and I honestly don't really care because evidently, well, if we can't use CDMA stuff anymore, then why bother?
Just imagine this. Just imagine a phone which is basically permanently locked to eSIM. No option for a physical SIM card. And when you need to switch your SIM card over to another phone, you had to take it into a Verizon or Sprint store or call the representative. You can't SIM swap. You can't do it unless you have a representative there. There used to be this online wizard tool on Sprint, never worked. You needed to have an actual support representative, whatever, an agent, switch your IMEI over. Because it didn't use SIM cards, it pretty much used eSIM.
Oh yeah, I wanted to
before
say,
eSIM
didn't
was a
those
thing.
CDMA phones not even have SIM trays? At least some of them?
Yeah. Verizon ones didn't, Sprint ones didn't. I don't know. I think Rogers in Canada may have had a CDMA network at one point.
I'll look it up.
Unsure, though. I'm unsure because I know somewhere I heard Canada did use eSIM, but Europe never used eSIM. Or not eSIM, CDMA.
I want to say, doesn't Europe actually still use?
I don't know.
Isn't the physical SIMs tray still in European iPhones today?
Yes, and I believe it's in Canada
Yeah,
too.
It isn't. Well, actually, they may have gotten rid of it on the latest iPhones in Canada. I'm still not completely certain about that. But what I do know, people would import European iPhones to the US to get the SIM card tray.
And
Which is so
Chinese
stupid to me.
iPhones actually have 2 SIM trays. But Rogers uses GSM,
Oh, yeah,
by the
you're
way.
right.
They never use CDMA.
Uh,
But I think TELUS did use CDMA.
Whatever it was so stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, people used to import European iPhone 14s. I remember that. I don't know about the 15s. But it's like, how often are you going to be switching your SIM card out to the point where it's not cheap to import something. I think it's like multiple $100s.
Depends on
to
what the
import a
product
phone.
is. I
Wow.
genuinely don't know because it depends on where you're importing it from. Are there different tariffs that it has to deal with and such? So, what type of product is it even? I have no exact. I don't really know exactly how they calculate what it's going to cost to import, but the truth is it varies a lot. There's so many different variables that go into the cost of importing something.
Canadian iPhones still have SIM
Yeah.
card trays.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually surprised because usually when it comes to US versus Canadian products, there's not really that many differences. Usually it's all made to a North American spec. Like our cars, for example, they're pretty much built the same for US and Canada with only slight differences. Like, okay, maybe the speedometer's in kilometers for Canada while we use miles per hour.
And even
Yeah.
though if it's digital, there's not going to be a difference because there's not only going to be a software difference.
So, yeah, I'm surprised that they actually decided to send the Canadians the one with the SIM tray because one would think, I mean, I don't really think there's a difference in App Store other than just currency.
No, it's just, I think the only thing is, the Canadian carriers, I don't think work well with eSIM.
Oh yeah, I
don't think
suppose
that,
yeah, I
think
suppose we
Tim
don't.
Cook-
Canada doesn't really
I
have
think,
our carriers up there. They have different ones.
Yeah, and because Apple's an American company, they work better with the American companies while, getting
Yeah,
eSIM
I guess that
rolled
makes
out.
sense.
Yeah.
But as of Apple Intelligence not making it to
eSIM
Europe,
is,
you know what? I think they're better off without it.
Yeah, it's not
I think
necessary.
that
It's
Apple should
it's cool, but it's not necessary.
Apple should discontinue every iPhone except for the SE4 in the EU. And then Apple should promote a service to import US iPhones.
Oh my
into the
god,
EU.
I think Apple could possibly get into legal because the U.S. and U.S. government and the EU have such a tight relationship, have such a special relationship. Apple could realistically get in legal trouble if they promote importing American iPhones to Europe. And Europe could
Whatever it is,
also,
the
the
EU
EU could
is,
also realistically outlaw that, and then
That or
you'd have a
place
case
really
of
big tariffs.
smugglers.
It's how the U.S. doesn't have many foreign truck makers, for example. Like, if I recall, Volkswagen
Yeah.
wanted to sell a truck to the U.S., but the reason why they can't is purely because of American tariffs.
Oh.
Isn't there a truck tax
Funny,
of some
it's
sort?
got a really funny name. It's called the chicken tax.
Yeah.
It's a
I
really
watched
funny name,
something
but
like
yeah,
that.
I know stuff like that has happened in the automotive industry. I would not be surprised if Europe tries the same thing when it comes to iPhones, should more people start opting to import them.
Yeah, I know.
That
In
is so dumb.
Yeah, I know. I know in the United States you can only import cars from Japan that are from 1999 or older.
The car
So as a result, if you
technically
have you guys ever seen those mini trucks?
yeah, they're called K cars.
Yeah.
The way that those work is in order to legally import without the crazy tariff stuff like that, the car has to be 25 years old. So next year the car does not have to be from 1999 or older. It can be from 2000 and older. So the car has to be 25 years old. There's a couple things that need to be changed to make it street legal for here in the US. So yeah, again, the import process is always it's never the same. There's always different variables for that and such, but I'm pretty sure if it really comes down to people wanting to start importing iPhones to Europe just because of how bad the EU is regulating the iPhone and such, I'm sure they're going to find a way to make it more and more difficult to import iPhones into Europe.
Yeah. The EU is really just making everyone's life harder at this point.
They are, but I guess we shall, since we've already ran the EU into the ground in many other episodes, shall I move on to our next topic, which is Final Cut Camera?
This one's really
yeah.
interesting.
Sure.
So, have either of you used it?
I haven't, because
No.
I don't have any iPhones running iOS 17.
Oh, yeah, right. How about you, Tabby?
No, but I haven't
Really?
been
So I'm the only
following
one here who's used
it.
it?
I might check it out.
Yeah, I used
Yeah.
it once.
Oh, really?
The last Gadgets video, I actually used Final Cut Camera.
Oh, I think I got the notification for that, but I couldn't see it. Did you make like a whole
I did
video
not
on
make a
Final Cut
video on
Camera?
it yet. I'm doing some more testing with it, but
Oh, okay. I definitely got some notification about Final Cut Camera, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
it's out now.
I found out about it through Twitter actually. Who was it that tweeted
So,
out? Oh, was it Drew or was it Randy? Either of the two. But yeah, I've tried it out, and I have to say, it's pretty. It's very optimized for slightly more advanced cinematography. I haven't seen a real cinema camera in action, but it does give you a lot more control over the camera itself. And there's a couple added features that I find so useful. Feature number 1. It displays your battery percentage at all times.
Oh,
I think everyone would find that useful.
that's something that I'm surprised they didn't implement that.
Yeah,
into
that
iOS
they should have.
18.
And then feature number 2, it tells you how many more minutes of footage can you record before you run out of storage.
Without ProRes. Perfect. Unless this
No,
is ProRes
actually you
only.
can switch between HEVC and ProRes.
I am downloading it on my 15
we're-
Pro right now.
I just
though.
had it. Yeah, it's a
Is
free
it
app.
free? Hold on.
So yeah, let me open
Oh,
up
no
Final
way.
Cut Camera right here. So I'll do my best to show it, but this is the app. It looks fairly similar to the standard camera app, but it's a lot more optimized for video. So as you can see, here's how many more minutes, or what is that? No, that's hours. So it says, if I record using these settings, I have 17 hours before the phone completely fills up. And then it displays my battery percentage right there.
Okay.
It gives me some zoom controls here. It functions a little weird. It's one of those where you hold it, but it keeps zooming instead of like the dial in the main camera app that we're used to. It also has...
Drew from Taylor's Tech. Oh,
Yeah, Drew pointed that out in his video as well. It also has a setting where it'll detect overexposure. I don't know if it's picking... But on screen, from what you guys can see, you see all that red stuff? That's everything that
Yeah.
is overexposed. So it really helps you with determining your lighting and such.
Yeah, and fun. Yeah, Drew mentioned mentioned in his video about it that could be possibly be a sneak peek of what the capture button can do on the iPhone.
Speaking of which, I think you can change the shutter speed on this.
Guys, I just found out something absolutely
What?
amazing that this app can do.
What?
This is one of the main reasons I bought the 15 Pro. So, you know how Apple advertised how you could record directly
yes.
to a USB drive? You can finally do that without recording in ProRes.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
That is actually
Because who wants to
game
record in
changing.
ProRes?
Like, that is
And then also, if you use an
Professionals.
external mic, you now have a screen to select which mic you can use.
yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Really, this app is a
Insane.
very
used to-
powerful tool for video creators like us.
I used to use an external microphone before I got my iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I have to say that it was a pretty cool. That was a pretty novel That was pretty cool. That I wish that feature would have existed back then, but my iPhone has such a good microphone.
you know, if
now
you just
that I
plug
don't
in
use
a-
external mics.
If you plug in any microphone to an iPhone, at least a 15 Pro, it'll just automatically record from it.
Usually, but it's nice to have that assurance because every now and then I've occasionally plugged in a
Yeah.
microphone and it didn't recognize it, and so it ended up not using it. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have that assurance that should it do or whatever should it default to its onboard mic, you at least have that manual assurance that you know you can manually switch it over should you need to. So yeah, this
Absolutely.
app is. I don't know if cinematographers, as in professional cinematographers, would start using it because there are some limitations that I think that they like that can't really be fixed via software. So, but
I think they should add
that
manual focus.
I think there is. I think
focus
there
dial.
is because
Oh, really?
I know Randy Vasquez was talking about that. Let me see. Settings. It's something in the settings, if I recall. Tools. There's a thing here for focus peaking.
Apple. Yeah, I saw that. Apple really just made the best camera software ever.
Yeah,
And they
no
made it
joke.
free.
Oh, yeah. So tap this. You get a few extra options here. So let me see. I see an. Oh, yep. Autofocus. So there's
yeah.
autofocus here, and you can manually change the focus.
Frog, yeah. That's awesome.
That is so you don't have any idea how useful that would be for me.
Yeah, I can manually change the focus.
Because it's often been an
Wow.
issue in my videos when sometimes, especially if it's cloudy outside.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I can't. Sometimes my device's screens I show.
Well, something
they
I.
get so overfocused.
Yeah, something I learned on my road trip.
Exposed.
On my road trip, the first clip I made where I was stretching it from home to, I think it was Minocqua, a problem with mounting my phone up on the tripod facing out the windshield. If there's rain, it changes the focus, and then you can't see the background. You can't see the footage outside.
Yep.
It just looks so blurry.
Luckily,
Yeah.
fine.
That's why GoPros don't really have
Yeah.
focus. You realize GoPros don't really have autofocus or anything. They just
Mm-hmm.
record.
And so, yeah, this app is very powerful for those who use smartphones to record videos.
Yeah, it'll be great
Yeah.
for you the next time you record. It'll be great for you the next time you record a road trip.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm surprised, actually. I'm surprised they didn't make a dedicated photo-only camera app alongside this. One that is just absolute geeked out amount of manual, like
It is
control.
a bit interesting how
That
they
is
didn't do
honest.
that.
That is on.
I guess they're probably trying to just make the normal photo camera app more onto photos, and they're like, okay, if you want to record, download Final Cut Camera, which I get.
Yeah, because they integrate. Yeah, because they got rid of iPhoto in iOS because they integrated all the functions of it into the Photos app in iOS 5.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the Final Cut camera app. And then I guess the last functionality that I'm pretty sure none of us are going to use because of how dumb the iPad OS Final Cut thing is.
Yeah. That was the only feature that I remembered about that keynote from a Final Cut standpoint. I'm gonna try it out eventually. I'm gonna see how it is. I'm gonna see what happens. And if it's bad, it's bad. But if it's good, okay, maybe. I'm very surprised this app is free.
So
I was 100%
Yeah, same
expecting
here.
this app to be part of the Final Cut
I mean, thank God they
subscription.
didn't do the worst thing that they could have done.
Oh yes, the
What?
subscription.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible if they did that. The whole
They know
recording
nobody's
directly
gonna.
into Final Cut thing only being available for iPad. I would not be surprised if Apple eventually integrates that into Final Cut for Mac.
They're gonna have. They're surely going to have to because I know a lot of people import footage from iPads, iPhones to Macs, like yours truly.
Oh yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that. I don't know a lot of people that import footage from iPhones to iPads.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, that's the one weird thing about the app that I haven't figured out just yet, although I'm kind of getting there. When it comes to offloading media from Final Cut Camera to the Mac, for example, it doesn't save it to the Photos app.
That's annoying.
It saves
What?
it in its own. It saves
What did
it
it
to its
save it
own
to?
dedicated folder in the Files app.
That is so
Oh, that's
annoying.
just annoying.
So, I mean,
I mean, I guess.
I hear that there's one advantage
I
to
guess it
it.
makes
I believe
sense,
the
but-
import process is faster if you have a 15 Pro. I think that will allow it to finally take advantage of USB 3 speeds because it's not doing it through the Photos app, which, if I recall, the reason why photo transfers via wire on the Photos app are still slow is because the Photos app is still only optimized for USB 2.0. That's what I'm hearing, at least.
Feels way
So
faster, even. It feels way
Yeah.
faster on the 15 Pro. So much
So
faster than my
that
12 Pro
mean
Max.
so I would think that would mean if you import it by plugging your phone in directly, it'll be through the Files app. But also within Final Cut Camera, you can still
Okay.
AirDrop should you prefer that method, or if you forget your cable or something.
Can't you
Yeah.
also? What was I going to say? What was I going? What was? I forgot what I was gonna say.
Ah.
So that's the only caveat that I'm still not completely knowledgeable about, but that's what I know. All I know is it's if you plug it in, it's not going to be through the Photos app, it's going to be through the Files app.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
Still one
what's
massive
that?
jump for the iPhone. What's up?
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say Apple could eventually optimize the Photos app to work with USB 3.2 speeds. So that'd be pointless anyway.
One would
Eventually.
think.
But eventually is not now. Eventually might be in 10 years when USB 4.2 comes out.
That's a good point. Because USB 3.0 was already out when Lightning came out.
I can't believe that they
Yeah.
actually made a Lightning 3.0 and then killed it off and never brought it to the iPhone.
Yeah. So stupid.
That's just one of the many engineering choices and design choices that I cannot wrap my head around.
All right, well,
You know, there was actually a second version of Lightning that came out in around 2020, 2021. You can see, if you look inside of a MagSafe battery pack, there's extra pins. So, like, if you look, there are pins on the bottom of the port. On a MagSafe battery pack. It's not on any of the iPhones.
my iPhone 14 Pro has pins on the bottom of the port.
Oh, it
I
does?
need a
Yeah.
light.
Like little circular pins?
Yep. Doesn't have any on the top
Huh.
though.
Are you sure it's not the spring pins that actually hold the cable in place?
No, I'll show you. Hold on, let me get a photo. Oh, of course, macro mode doesn't function when I want it to.
I got too much dust in this one. Let me try the other port. No, that's probably gonna have more dust.
So you can barely see it in this photo that I'm going to send. But if you look close, you'll be able to see these pins. They're circular pogo pins almost. Check this out.
Okay, let's see.
On the very bottom of the port.
I don't see a photo.
Which app? Oh, here it is. I found it. It's an iMessage.
Messages.
Huh. I see 3 circular pins.
Look at this
Facing
second
up.
photo.
Those aren't
Yeah,
on.
look at the second photo.
Those
so
are
you
on
can
my
get it.
iPhone's port.
They are?
They're not.
Oh, there's 4 of them.
Yeah, I never saw those on my iPhones.
Neither have I.
I think they were on certain iPads. Maybe AirPods Pro 2 with Lightning, if any of you guys have a pair of those laying around.
Also-
I happen to have misplaced my
Maybe
AirPods Pro
AirPods
too,
Max.
so I don't have them with me.
Hang on, I have my AirPods
Oh
Max.
no, not
I
my
have my
AirPods Pro
Max
2 don't
sitting-
have those.
Is that a cat that you just put off your desk?
Yes, because
Oh.
Rowdy and Stormy are getting in. We're getting into an argument. that I'm trying to make
Oh.
sure doesn't escalate. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to let some cats out. Rowdy's gonna have to leave.
But yeah, what were we talking about?
Something about. Oh yeah, we were just wrapping up Final Cut Camera.
I think it's just.
I
a
might
very
start
good
using
thing.
that to film my
One of the
videos from
better
now
things
on.
that's happened.
I probably will.
Oh yeah, because it's definitely one of the better things that have happened to.
Yeah, that
The
was a
iPhone.
very pleasant surprise, and I love it.
I personally like
Yeah,
Final Cut Camera.
I'm-
I probably wouldn't use. I might not use it just because I like the default camera app as is, but I like Final Cut Camera so far. But speaking of, I was about to do a segue before we got sidetracked, as we frequently do. But speaking of engineering decisions, how about this engineering decision that Apple's done? The new Beats
Let's hear it.
Buds, which are $80, have a case that doesn't have a battery. The only batteries are the earbuds themselves, which makes the case very small.
What kind of decision is that?
Definitely a
They're
cost-cutting
budget earbuds,
decision.
mind you.
I mean, here's the thing: if the earbuds last,
I mean-
how long is the advertised battery life?
Let me look. Apple.
Probably like 4 hours.
Beats Solo Buds, yeah.
So here's the only way that I can make sense of this. You want to listen to music occasionally, but you don't want to break the bank. And as long
They have
as
18 now.
as
They have
long
up
as you
to-
listen to audio through your earbuds less than 4 hours a day, then maybe it doesn't make sense to break the bank and you can just save money by I don't know. That's the only way it kind of makes sense to me. It's if you don't listen to audio enough to justify spending money on actual AirPods like we do, but still want something.
Actually, these earbuds have 18 hours of playback time.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
No
okay.
way.
And they come in transparent red too.
I mean, I guess they don't have noise canceling or transparency mode to dumb that battery
You know, you
life
got a
down,
point.
So 18
Huh.
hours.
You know what? I've been debating at some point.
That-
Maybe I should start reviewing earbuds and headphones and audio products since I'm the audiophile here. Because we frequently talk about them.
That would be a pretty good
Yeah,
idea. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
cover audio products very much on this on this podcast, but
the only reason I can't get more into audio products is because it's
Yeah,
such
it
an
is.
expensive hobby. And I was into hi-fi for a while, a few years back, just before we started doing this, the show. And the thing is with it, it just became so annoying because I was always trying to upgrade the setup, and it was just so much time that I just ended up putting into it that I couldn't yeah. you
Yeah,
know.
complex audios, high-end audio systems are anything but simple to set up. I should
yeah, I
know.
prefer just
Yeah.
using simple audio since it sounds simple and since it sounds good to me.
So, yeah, I thought me being the audiophile here on the show, maybe I should start getting some earbuds and start reviewing them because I've been toying around with the idea, bringing back to Teddy's video about sponsorships. I watched so many videos where they're sponsored by Raycon, and everyone claims, oh, they sound even better than AirPods, which I have a feeling is a load of BS, but I want to actually try buying them myself, and because
The
Raycons.
Raycons or the Beats? Raycons are a low. I can't say that. Raycons are not good.
So,
From what
and
I've
I'll
heard.
have the excuse of because my channel's not monetized, that means why would anybody else want to sponsor me? So I can say this is an unsponsored review.
That's a genius.
Yeah.
That's a genius idea. One of my classmates actually has Raycons.
But I'm willing to bet that classmate's not an audiophile like I am.
I highly doubt
So,
it.
I've been toying around with this idea of buying a set of Raycons to finally expose. Do the sponsorship advertisements actually live up to the product? Or does the product live up to the... Yeah.
Oh,
I wanted to do that with U Green, and I ended up making a YouTube short that got 60 whole views. A good 60 views for a completely unbiased review.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if my video
it's not
does
technically
poorly.
completely unbiased, but it's still not sponsored.
Yeah, I would not be surprised
As I
if
mentioned-
my video on like the Raycons especially, I would not be surprised if they do poorly because Raycon's probably going to pay YouTube to suppress it. I would not be shocked if that's the case because I know at this point YouTube is obsessed with making money, and so they will do some shady things that might not be obvious to make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've made some questionable decisions despite how much, especially the big YouTubers, despite how much people retaliate against it. I can't believe YouTube still makes some decisions. Like, I covered the Sniper Wolf drama on my YouTube, vlog channel, the vlog channel. I talked about that. How this channel with 34...
What?
I briefly mentioned the Sniper Wolf situation on my vlog channel in my...
What situation?
So, have you heard of the YouTuber Sniper Wolf?
That's a Sniper
You know
Wolf.
Jack
Yes,
Stones?
I actually watched one of her videos on an iPhone 8 Plus water test back when I was 10.
So this woman has been accused and finally proven, thanks to Jack's Films, that she is directly stealing content from TikTokers and other YouTubers and wherever else she gets media. She will pull these videos from other people. She will actively remove any watermarking or anything that hints where the video came from. And she barely even reacts to them at all. It's so low effort, low quality content, but yet she gets so many views. She's got 34 million subs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Because of that, YouTube doesn't really do much. In fact, they promote some of the biggest BS about her, trying to explain how awesome she is and how original she is. And Jack's Films called her out, and after, I don't remember how long he's been calling her out, but after X amount of time, Sniper Wolf finally doxed him.
Late 2023, mid 2023.
She showed up at his house and filmed the outside of his house. Yep, it was an Instagram, right? Either an Instagram short or story. I don't know anything about Instagram.
Story, I mean.
For everyone, story. All of her 5 million, 6 million viewers on Instagram to see.
I'm guessing Jack's Films had to move.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did or not. Last I heard, him and his wife were considering it.
So I don't think the address was really...
I don't know.
I don't think the address was really visible. I think it was just his house, which is kind of borderline doxing. I wouldn't say it's exactly
you could still
doxing,
realistically reverse search that on Google Images.
There's a way to, but it's kind of, it's... I don't know the whole situation.
But technically, according to YouTube, this type of behavior, it doesn't have to happen on YouTube. It's stated in their policy, if something like this happens on any other platform aside from YouTube as well, that the YouTuber who doxes someone shall be terminated. And Sniper Wolf is still up to this day.
Yeah.
They actually have another policy that can happen even if it happens on our platforms.
But yeah,
that seems a little bit odd.
Yeah, so despite the whole situation, all Sniper Wolf got was, at least from YouTube, a slap on the wrist. But there's other things going on that are leading to her downfall that is not relevant to our conversation. But YouTube definitely plays favorites. The only reason why they gave her a slap on the wrist is because
YouTube knows
they make so much money from her. So it's so stupid how YouTube does that.
It's all geeked out, to be honest.
All right, what were we talking about?
We were talking about the Beats Buds case about a battery, but I think we mostly ran that topic into the ground. So now we should move on to our next topic, which is that Apple has ended Pay Later after only a year.
What?
You remember Apple Pay Later?
Yep.
Yeah, they got rid of that.
Yep. Finally.
Damn. Why?
Because this time it was not a bank that was lending out money. It was Apple themselves.
And if you don't have interest, then you can't make profit. And also, it's just generally it's not good at getting people to do responsible spending habits because my biggest problem with people with credit cards is that credit cards encourage people to spend more money than they have, so that way they can eventually wind up in endless debt.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that is the end of Pay Later.
Depending on how you use it.
I don't have much to say about it.
All right, sure.
So.
I guess our next
all jacked up.
Huh?
The entire Apple Pay Later system was jacked up from the beginning.
Yeah, I did.
It shouldn't have. They don't have a bank. What are they doing?
I didn't. They were trying to become a bank, but I guess they realized that they couldn't be a bank and a hardware company. And I didn't like the sound. I didn't like Apple Pay Later to start with because I thought Apple was moving in more of. I actually made a video about this, but I didn't like how Apple was moving more in the direction of a bank because, again, I've gone to this plenty of times on TIFP, but I just don't like how Apple.
Thinks that they're a bank.
Well, I just don't like how Apple is moving towards services in general, just because it takes their focus away from hardware.
Yeah.
Like Apple TV Plus has no business being part of Apple.
I disagree with that.
What else? No,
They've put out some good stuff.
It does not need to exist.
They put out some good stuff.
They put,
awards aside, they put out some good stuff. Not much, but they put out some good stuff.
The problem with Apple TV Plus is that it not only takes Apple's focus away from technology, but also just, I mean, Hollywood at this point, I mean, Hollywood is basically just for old people, and that doesn't really communicate well for young audiences, as we've seen with Quibi. So therefore, Apple TV Plus I think it should be sold to another company.
So what if we rename Hollywood, like, Detroit or something, or we move, like, where we move everything from being shot at Hollywood to Detroit. Maybe that'll re-engage young people's
I don't even think
attention
that would do
spans.
it, to be honest.
Could you imagine?
Detroit,
Could you imagine every movie being shot in Detroit?
Oh, good luck filming
Or
movies in
Chicago.
the winter. And on another unrelated note, have you seen that Detroit put a "Welcome to Detroit" sign like the Hollywood sign?
What about Chicago?
Chicago, I don't think Chicago's done that yet.
The Detroit did something like that. Well, there's our tax dollars going to something useful. Oh gosh, get me
It's
the
run by
hell
another
out of
state,
Michigan.
Detroit, too.
I hate it in Michigan so much. I'm gonna be so miserable having to travel all the way back. For context, guys, I'm currently in North Carolina as we're recording this. Finally!
Yeah, it's been a long time planning that, but you finally
Oh
making
my
it actually
gosh,
come to life.
I really want to move here, to be honest.
Alright, well,
Oh yeah.
but I guess we shall move on. Speaking of North Carolina, how about we talk about how Alpha tried a Vision Pro in North Carolina?
Yeah, I finally used the Vision Pro, so I did my best to come in as neutral as possible. Just cast all of my personal opinions aside and just try to come in with a fresh mind and focus on what was right in front of me. The technology itself is actually really impressive. Despite that, I had a slightly hindered experience because, as you guys know, I wear glasses and I have a very unique prescription. They tried their best to match it, but it still wasn't anywhere close to my actual prescription. So, I mean, they tried and it did help. It's better than me not wearing my glasses, but still, that was a big hindrance. So if you wear glasses, you might struggle to actually properly do a demo like I did. But that, and the other thing was the way I needed to adjust it. I had a slight break in the light seal, so that kind of affected things a bit as well. But in terms of trying to make things seem realistic, the experience was not that far off. It did not feel that far off. Like, all that needed to be...
It felt very far off. It felt pretty far off to me.
I mean, there are some obvious things like trying to isolate your hands from displaying like whatever's immersed around you. Yeah, it's got some of those issues. There's no secret about that. But the number one thing that convinced me that it did a good job was there was one scene in a immersive video demo thing where it was a woman on a tightrope. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a woman on a tightrope.
I think I did.
I'm not joking. It triggered my hatred for heights. It actually got me.
Wow.
So the tech itself is impressive, and when it gets it right, it can be very immersive. There's still some fine tuning that needs to be done, but for what it can do now, it's impressive.
Do you think it's the future of technology now or not?
I still don't, and ultimately because at the end of it, I thought this is a cool experience, but what am I going to use this for? I still ultimately came back to that question, and I'm like, how do we use this tech in our daily lives? And the only conclusion I came to was it's just a play toy.
It's like buying a machine. It's like buying a machine to replicate the Disney Space Mountain ride.
Yeah, so the tech is very impressive, and when it gets it right, it can be immersive. But ultimately, at the end of the day, despite how impressive this tech is, it's just not very applicable in our daily lives. In fact, actually, I asked the Apple Store employee who did the demo, who conducted the demo, I asked his thoughts on it, and his answer was very predictable. It's the same conclusion as me.
Wow, the guy,
A toy.
the Apple Store employee said that it was told me that it was like a spatial computer, when I told him that I thought that looked like to me like I was watching mid 2000s home movies, he said, now these are two 4K displays. I don't know how you could possibly think that this is from the 2000s, but gave me the illusion of the past.
Oh, you should have seen his reaction when I told him I can't see 3D. He was completely mind blown.
Apple Store employees, for whatever reason, some Apple Store employees are just so disconnected from reality. I think I told one of them that I replaced the battery in an iPhone 6, and his mind was blown.
Yeah, it's like
He does. I don't think he understood that. I don't think he understood that you could, like, replace the battery on your own.
I think the problem is they train the employees
It's like
to
they're
do
disconnected from
a
everything.
hyper-specific job at the store, and as a result, they don't focus on the entire environment around them, and so they don't know that much about other products. Because I know from
Yeah.
other people's stories that they love to have their specialists. So I think that might have been the case, but then again, I don't visit an Apple store that frequently.
I don't know.
But that pretty much sums up my Vision Pro
Some Apple
experience.
Store
The
employees-
tech itself is very impressive, and when it gets it right, oh my gosh, it's insane to experience. But ultimately, at the end of the day,
Too much money for what it is.
yeah, there's that. But then even if it was cheaper, what would you really use this for?
See, here's the thing for me. If it was $1,000, I would buy it. If it's $1,500, I'd buy it. If it's $2,000, maybe. But for $3,300 or whatever it is,
3,500.
no, because here's the thing. You can use it, for monitors, and the main thing for me is the privacy aspect, because you
Yeah.
get that privacy with that thing. You can put it on, you can put it on wherever, and you can have just the largest screen
And you're
you
the
want
only
with
one who
most
can see
privacy.
it.
I like that a lot. Yeah, and that's something that's one of the reasons why I kind of like smaller phones, smaller screens in a way, just a little harder for other people to see.
That's a good
Because
point.
everybody just loves to look at your screen. I don't know if you guys ever see that, either in the house, outside. People just
Yeah.
love to see what's going on, and I hate when other people are able to see
I
stuff.
actually
and
do
I
like
hate those
sometimes like
privacy
looking at
screen
other people's
protectors.
screens. I hate to admit it, but
I mean, yeah, but I don't like when
Yeah.
other people look at
I
mine
feel
though.
guilty when I look at other people's, but it's almost addicting to. It
Yeah.
It's not a good thing, because I mean, sometimes when you can't look at your own screen, I don't know why we seem so drawn to screens, and I think it's because we're drawn to things that change. Like, for example, we're more drawn to blinking lights than just a light that's on without any interruption.
That's why cops. That's
You got a
why.
point
That's
there.
why emergency vehicles use blinking lights.
Yeah, I think that's why we're drawn to screens so much. It's the constant change. We want it. We want to see what's changed. And so when we can't look at our own phones, be it we left it in the other room or it's in our pocket, when we see someone else's screen either flash white when they open an app or when they're scrolling or something changes, we're drawn to it.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's
Yeah.
just a biological thing or whatever the correct term to use.
That that would actually make that makes sense. That's probably why a lot of humans are drawn towards TikTok and all its crappy clones.
So, yeah. Crap, I lost my train of thought. I just got derailed. All right.
It happens
yeah.
to the best of us.
The Vision Pro.
What were we talking about? Yeah.
We were
The Vision
we're
Pro. I don't know. I feel like the Vision Pro. The technology's cool, but like just. Come on, that price.
For
is
me,
just too
it's
much.
cool.
I
It's
think we're
just
the
I don't
only
know
people
how to
that
use
still-
it. And I'm putting price aside. I'm pretending. Let's pretend that this was free. Let's say this was given to me for free. I still don't know how to use it. And I wouldn't use it for. Most people say they'd use it for their personal theater experience, but honestly, I would not use it for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Especially considering that it felt like I had goggles on my face.
Yeah, precisely.
So, yeah, I wouldn't use it for the theater. I wouldn't use it as for. I know I'm big screen everything, but I don't notice that. I don't think it would be that much more helpful to expand the screen of a MacBook Pro, because, like, the way that people thinking of this making sense is, say you're on a plane and there's not much legroom, so your you have to have a smaller screen because you can't fit a bigger screen in a smaller space. But when you're in a smaller space, that screen is most likely going to be closer to you.
Yeah, because
So I really don't see much advantage to that.
yeah, and there are some people that basically never fly. Like I'm 16. I've still never flown yet. Even if I do fly,
Trust me, you do not
I
want
rent it
to.
Well, if I have business, if I become a businessman when I grow up, then might have to fly.
Only do it overseas. Please drive if you're staying here in America. Gosh.
Depends on where. It depends on where. If I have a business meeting that I need to get to and from like directly, then I might fly. But if I'm just cruising around for my own leisure, then I might just drive.
I'm bringing this up because of the Boeing
Or even if-
issues. Boeing's still having more and more issues, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and if I'm going, yeah, and and I might just drive to Canada or Alaska if I ever go to those places.
Yeah, the only reason I'd ever fly again is if I need to cross the ocean. Anywho, let's get back
Yeah.
on topic. I'm done with Vision Pro. I don't have anything else to explain with that.
All right, shall we get on to the next topic, which is or let's get on to it, which is that there's new Snapdragon laptops that are offering comparable performance to Apple or
Comparable.
Mac. Yeah. We basically ran Snapdragon to the ground at this point.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, there are some benchmarks out there, but the problem is they are specifically designed to actually take advantage of the Qualcomm chip. The issue is outside of the benchmarks. Keep in mind, this is still Windows for ARM we're talking about. Most applications on Windows still aren't optimized for ARM.
Most applications on Windows aren't
Exactly.
optimized for Windows.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you think that applications aren't very well optimized for x86 in general, you think it's going to be any better on a new architecture? It's not.
No.
So, like, sure,
I guess that
it
gets
can
on
perform
to our-
well on paper, but there's always a difference between specs on a spec sheet and real world performance. The benchmarks that all of the other YouTubers are publishing about that, it's not real world. Geekbench is not real world. I'm sorry.
It's not. But I guess this is a great segue into one of our future
Yeah.
topics that I guess we should go in while we're talking about Windows chips, which is that framework for their 13-inch laptop. They're supporting the open source RISC-V platform, which basically doesn't require licensing fees.
What is RISC-V?
It's an open source technology. It's an open source chip technology that, unlike ARM and x86, don't require licenses, so it's cheaper to offer chips that way.
The only thing I'm trying to figure out with that
cool.
is, again, software. How does today's applications handle that? Because most everything is going to be
Well, it won't
optimized for
handle
either
it well.
Intel, AMD, or Apple Silicon.
I mean, there will probably be some Linux distributions that'll be optimized for
Okay,
it.
yeah, I
but,
would not be
mean,
surprised if that's the case. But then again, what is optimized on Linux?
Nothing. Did you guys see that Samtime sketch when he said that I can download any app I want to on Linux. I just gotta change some directories and go into terminal first.
Yeah, and this is not us trying to dunk on Linux. To some, Linux's functionality like that is an actual pro, not a con. But to average users who just want to get their crap done without a hassle, Linux is not a good choice. And that's something that...
The reason why I use macOS instead of Windows or Linux is because, as Alec from Technology Connection said, I like to work on my computer, not work on my computer.
Yeah, it has its perks. It's for an enthusiast community, but what drives me nuts, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I have a lot of Linux commenters on my Windows rants. They act like macOS sucks, Linux is the best thing ever, until I'm reminding them, guys, I'm making this rant because things that are supposed to just work and just be simple and not be a hassle is not working. And I'm bringing up an operating system where things aren't really that much of a hassle. Linux, to the average Joe, everything is a hassle.
It's worse than Windows, except for Chrome OS, but Chrome OS is so heavily modified.
And modified is in dumbed down to the point where it's almost useless without internet. So, yeah, I'm bringing that up because it drives me nuts when Linux users decide to go out there saying that they've got the best operating system ever. It's designed for a community, not for the masses. The masses do not like complex stuff. They just want it to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to our next topic involving Logitech?
Yeah.
All right, so Logitech now has a new stylus for the MetaQuest 3.
What?
Yeah,
How the hell does that work?
I guess you can draw into air or something. I don't know.
I would think maybe you
I
could
guess.
start writing on walls without worrying about crayon or marker ink being permanently stuck on the walls. I don't know.
I mean, that just sounds like, but wait a second. Wouldn't it just be little kids that would theoretically utilize that feature? Oh wait, VR is too harmful to little kids' eyes.
I think the theory is this would replace whiteboards on walls. I think that's the theory. Because again, Meta is assuming that everyone's going to be wearing their Quest and stuck in their metaverse, right? That's what Meta's assuming.
Well, the metaverse is now infinitely delayed, so they don't have a metaverse. I don't think the metaverse is a thing now.
So yeah, my guess as of why this makes sense is everyone's living in the metaverse, and as a result, we can write on walls with styluses. We don't need whiteboards anymore. But that's my only theory.
Couldn't you just hook up a keyboard to the VR headset and then in the metaverse just type whatever you want?
But then how do you walk around? And you need a table. My gosh, this is the biggest problem with it. You can't be in two different realities at the same time. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, we've seen the outcome in The Matrix. Well, I haven't seen it because I haven't seen The Matrix, but
I've only seen the first movie.
A lot of people have. Yeah, I haven't watched The Matrix yet because I believe it's rated R, so.
Yeah, the only way that you can be in a different reality at the same time, like in The Matrix, is literally if you have different computer things plugged into your nerves and such. It's gross talking about that, but it's not stuff that we just can put on our face and take off like that. No, we need to actually plug our bodies and our nerves into a computer in order to do that. So, yeah, you can't exist in two realities at the same time.
Not
like
something
this.
I'm ever going to do.
I think that's another reason why VR headsets really aren't the future. So...
I will never
same
do
here.
any of that stuff. I'm not. That is just weird.
I'm not plugging a computer.
I know.
I'm not getting Neuralink.
Yeah, that's the thing. I already don't.
Unless I absolutely have to for medical reasons.
Yeah, that's the thing. I already don't trust surgeons in general. You think I'm going to trust tech companies who know nothing about health?
Yeah, tech companies literally control my brain.
It's not a good world to live in. Sometimes I wish we'd have some people who were able to reason, like when it came with the nuclear bombs, building all the nuclear bombs. Because it was scary to think, once upon a time, we had enough nuclear weapons to blow the Earth up 100 times over. Thank God some people were smart enough to realize this is not a good idea. We would all be dead.
It was actually the majority. It was actually the majority of people that realized it was not a good idea. We need the same thing to happen for a few other things like AI, for example, the generative function, and then again the Neuralink thing. It is such a dangerous technology that in the wrong hands, oh my gosh, it can be so destructive in ways that nobody can even conceptualize. Alright, I guess. Well, speaking of destructive stuff, I guess there are some smart people at the European Union.
Smart people in the EU? The only smart people I know were the same people who decided, let's use one EV charging standard so we don't have the chaotic mess that we have here in the US. That was the only smart person in the EU I know.
Alright, so remember how the European Union was going to have the right to scan all text?
Please tell me that they're walking back on that decision.
It's at least delayed.
I'm still not happy. I want them to completely walk back on that before it's a good thing.
Yeah, so do I, but at least it's delayed.
To me, that doesn't matter because that means it's still coming.
It's just like how we were sort of relieved of Apple's CSAM stuff, how it at least got delayed for so many times until they eventually implemented it into iOS 17.
Isn't it gone at this point, or I thought they ultimately canceled it for something.
No, they actually have or they don't. They have multiple. Or okay, so they've mostly canceled it.
Oh, but right, they
But
still
the
have some
controversy-
functions of it in various apps.
Like for example, in the Messages app, if you get sent an inappropriate image, if children get sent an inappropriate image, it'll warn them.
Yeah, right. So
It'll
there's still
warn them,
some
and then they might
functionality
get-
of it. Okay, right.
send
That's
it.
the case. But yeah, the whole scanning text things, no, it's not a good idea. And I know the EU being the EU, they're going to find a way to put this into law unless there's enough pushback via some lobbyists in the EU. I don't know how their government works. I don't care. All I know is right now they've been making a crap ton of decisions that are not good.
Well, the
Yeah.
only way is that enough countries just have to pull out of the EU.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's still going on, actually. So yeah, if they want to save themselves, they might want to start growing brains and actually use them.
Growing brains, that's pretty.
How about brain cells? That might make more
Alright.
sense. They need more brain cells.
Alright, do we have any more thoughts about that, or shall we move on to our next topic, also regarding legal issues?
Yep, let's move
Nothing
on.
here.
Alright, so Samsung is suing Aura
No. Why?
Horror.
over something related to smart rings.
Come on, Samsung.
I don't even have any
Aura
guesses.
technically did it first.
What's the lawsuit over?
Let me look it up. They're seeking a judgment that says it doesn't infringe on Aura's smart ring patents.
Hmm?
So Samsung has a tendency to get sued by other companies once they release competitors. So what they're doing this time is they're creating a lawsuit to basically say that they're not infringing on Aura's patents.
That is a very interesting way of going about it. I think all you'd have to do is just take
sue
it.
them ahead of time.
Just take the patent, like find the actual patent, take it to a judge, explain your idea, and have the judge. Why bother going through a lawsuit?
Well, again, you have to remember that Samsung's not an American company, so the South Korean legal system could be different.
Well, take it to the American or whatever. Yeah, Aura's like a Silicon Valley company, right? That's what I thought.
Let me look up.
Were they
Aura. Again, it might be different because
I thought they were funded. I thought they were one of the victims of the whole SVB collapse.
no, they're in Finland.
Oh, they're Finnish?
And let me look.
I don't have any guesses.
Let me look up is Finland in the EU. Yes, Finland is in the EU.
Well, that would explain why
So,
Samsung would have to
that
sue
might
them
explain
because
it.
the EU is wasting their time on other things and not giving it to answering a simple judgment question like that. So dumb. What a waste of resources.
I know.
The entire EU is a joke.
All right, you want to know
At
what?
least their government.
You want to know another company that's in America that is becoming a little bit more of a joke?
What?
OpenAI. As you want to know what else? As you know how bad OpenAI has become.
Hmm?
So, OpenAI has already had one of their co-founders leave, being Elon Musk. But now another one of their co-founders, Elias Suskaverd, I might be butchering that, and I apologize to him if he's tuning into this podcast if
I doubt
I
that.
butchered his name, but
I doubt that.
he is launching a new AI company called Safe Superintelligence because he left OpenAI.
I 100% guarantee you the actual AI itself is going to be the complete opposite of that.
Well, it at least shows that OpenAI is getting a lot of resentment since Elon Musk primarily left OpenAI because OpenAI wasn't really being open about it. But it's at least a sort of a saving grace to know that it's at least somewhat promising in a safe AI future.
To me, it's just a name. There's no products at the moment, and I mean, considering this guy is leaving a company with so much controversy right now, I don't know if he's getting out because he doesn't really want his name involved into it, or if he sees what they're doing and is like, no, I'm not going to allow this. I'm going to create a better product than what you guys think is a better product. So I don't know the intentions, and all I know is this whole AI BS in general, it's just not, it's all going to come down to the same issue that makes me afraid of it, and it's going to be abused. I know it 100% is going to be abused.
Yeah, I understand why not wanting to have your name not tied to a company if it suddenly gets to be very controversial, as I mean, that's what I believe Trevor Milton did with the, what company was it? It was a fraudulent company.
All of his companies were fraudulent companies.
Yes, that is technically true. I forgot. What was this company called again?
Are you referring to Nikola?
Yes.
Nikola Motors?
Yes.
Yeah, by the way, I gotta give whoever's in charge of the company now massive props for actually doing an amazing job turning the company around. Because Trevor left them in such a mess to deal with, but to my surprise, they've now developed a product that is actually real, that moves. It's not being rolled down a hill or anything. Yeah, whoever's in charge now has been doing an excellent job turning the crappy situation that was Nikola into something. I mean, it's still not profitable. It still has a not so great reputation, but he's kind of started to turn it around. Whoever the new manager of the company is, whoever the new CEO is, because I guarantee you it's not Trevor Milton.
Well, Trevor Milton's in jail, so.
Oh, dude.
Oh, or just like how Elizabeth Holmes left Theranos.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, there's that whole scandal too. So.
What is that?
You've never heard of Theranos?
Never heard of Theranos?
No.
So basically,
Can I explain?
Basically, this was supposed to be a machine that would drastically reduce the amount of blood drawn necessary to do a bunch of blood tests. It was claimed that they could run, I don't remember, it was like hundreds of tests with a small, simple little prick instead of needing to take a syringe and draw a full thing of blood. And also, this was supposed to run it much faster. These tests would be done same day instead of having to wait a few days for all the results to come back. This was the product she promised. The product we got, well, for the most part, it didn't.
Never got it?
They technically built something that kind of worked, but it was not exactly the most accurate thing in the world, because when you're running a bunch of tests on a very small, limited source of blood, that often means the blood itself is going to be diluted from whatever chemicals are being used to test it. And as a result, the results just aren't really all that accurate.
Which again, when you're messing with blood, is I would say pretty serious matter.
Yeah,
so-
oftentimes these results can determine life or death. And so, yeah, that happened. Also, it was a scam that went on for so long. It went on for many years. It wasn't until Hindenburg finally found enough whistleblowers. They wrote a report, and then I don't remember what federal group is in charge of investigating that stuff, but they did an investigation. They went behind the scenes, and they found that actually, not only did the machines not work, obviously, but to kind of get some other results, they were using conventional methods. That's how the scam went on for so long.
That's how...
Yeah. Huh.
So, yeah, that's the whole Theranos scandal.
All right.
Messed
How
up.
about we talk about legitimate companies now, which is that Nvidia is now the world's most valuable company.
Cool.
Shame it's not Apple, but I mean, Nvidia's got it all right, so...
I'm not exactly thrilled with what they make, because I mean, something I love about Apple Silicon is their focus on efficiency. If you can do more with less, then imagine if you add more of what's required to make... I don't know how to explain it, but best way I can explain it is like fuel efficiency of our cars. If my car can do... if my car can go 400 miles with 16 gallons, for example, well, what if I swapped out my 16-gallon tank for a 32-gallon? Well, then it'll take me 800 miles. But if your car is less efficient, let's say you can only do 250 on a 16-gallon tank, but then you upgrade it to 32, then you're only going, what, 500?
500.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's obvious. More efficiency is always better. And that's what Apple focuses on with their...
The efficiency is really what they need to be looking for.
That's what Apple focuses on with Apple Silicon. That's especially why I think their Mac sales really took off, and they're kind of struggling in the desktop space. Because the problem is the Silicon is really efficient because it's working with limited resources in a MacBook. It doesn't have an unlimited supply of energy. But when you give Apple Silicon an unlimited supply of energy, it's not scaling up and making the desktop more powerful. That's one thing that I really wanted to see, especially with Mac Pro, for example. But because it's effectively using the same limitations that MacBooks have, where it thinks, oh, I don't have an unlimited amount of power, therefore I have to be as efficient as possible. As a result, I think it's kind of ruined Apple's desktops, the Mac Pro to be more specific. But NVIDIA takes the complete opposite approach. They have not worked on efficiency for years. They just continue to draw more and more and more power. And I don't like that.
Neither do I, but
Yeah, you're right.
getting back onto the subject of Apple's desktops... I my only theory on why Apple makes their desktops that way is so that way people don't have to worry about about drawing too much power from the grid, which again, mind you, in California, where Apple's headquarters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there's no benefit to doing it the way.
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's no benefit to doing it the way they are, because it does overall mean, yes, your energy bill is going to be cheaper because you're not drawing as much power from the wall.
Maybe by $1 a month. Maybe by like $1 a month.
But yeah, my complaint is, like, then save that for the lower end desktops for average consumers. What if people who really are thirsty for every last drop of power possible, where's that computer for them?
It's not the Mac Pro.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's what the Mac Pro should be. It should run like an Intel chip that pulls 100 watts, or I guess we're describing NVIDIA in this case. It should run like an NVIDIA chip where it's pulling hundreds and hundreds of watts to produce everything possible. And we did not get that with the Mac Pro. Maybe we don't need hundreds and hundreds, but it should pull more power from the wall because, again, in theory, as long as the grid doesn't go down, you technically have unlimited access to power. And so make use of it. And it didn't. That's my disappointment in Mac Pro.
All right, shall we move on to our next topic now?
What's that?
Panasonic has just announced their new 7th generation Toughbook line.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Right, my uncle uses one of those.
Why?
I actually don't know.
Because I guess...
In fact, the one he uses is an old one. It's got a square display, and it's running... Is it 98 or XP? I don't know.
He uses that
What the hell's he
daily?
doing with
Yeah, that's his daily computer.
What the... How can he use that thing?
I don't know how he makes it work, but that is his personal computer. It's an old...
What's he able to do with it?
To my surprise, a lot.
Does he get on the internet? with
Yeah,
it?
he can get on the internet with it. I think he has to plug it into Ethernet. I don't think it has Wi-Fi, but I know
Oh my gosh,
I
they
know
have a ton
he
of
uses
pivot.
that laptop to power other tools too.
Oh, it's like a
Yeah, he
work
uses it for
machine?
personal
Yeah,
use.
it's
He
mostly
uses
for
it as a work
enterprise.
machine.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a
I don't get how you can use it as a personal machine.
Yeah, because especially for... Now, if we're running a newer version of Windows, okay, I get it, because there's actually a whole lot of Panasonic Toughbooks on eBay that are not too badly priced that you could realistically use as an average Joe computer if you want to deal with older computers, but...
Yeah, I'm surprised my uncle
But
is
I
still
s-
using that. I don't know if it's because... I don't know why he's using it. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if it's still working, why replace it if it still works? Maybe that's his mentality. I don't know.
I mean, he's got to be losing money or he's got to be losing time dealing with it.
Yeah, because surely not
Like, you
all of its
can't-
components still work after over 20 years.
I mean, I'm sure the components work, but I'm
But
just sure
like
it
the
takes
hard drive, I'm
forever
surely the
until
hard
the
drive would
battery.
have failed, and surely...
I believe.
Surely the
I
battery
believe
would've
he swapped the
failed.
hard drive for an SSD. And
But he still installed Windows XP onto it.
a drive's a drive. It doesn't matter what you put on it. The drive's controlled by a separate controller
Yeah, I know, but like, why?
that still interfaces with USB.
Yeah, I know, but why would he? Yeah, I know, but why would you?
I don't know. Again, I don't know why he uses it either. So,
Well, I mean, the Panasonic Toughbook, the new 7th generation Toughbook, costs over $7,000, so that might be partially why.
I guess so.
What
Then
I was
again, you
saying
can buy
was,
MacBooks for $8,000, and I'm sure
replacing the
people have
drive-
already sold those for newer ones.
I'm getting a
Okay.
call. I'll be right back.
You can buy $8,000 MacBooks.
That's how much Drew paid for his.
He paid... What the... Okay, let me...
He got the M1 Max.
Okay.
He left it at 32 gigs of RAM, and he paid for the full 8 terabytes.
You can't cap it. You can't cap it at that. I'm not able to cap it at that. I'm only able to cap it. The highest price I can get 60-inch MacBook Pro is to be $7,199.
Maybe they did a price change. I don't know, but I thought he paid like $8,000 for his or something.
He mentioned it in the skit.
Oh, wait!
So he probably did.
I'm sure that price you're looking at is not including tax.
Yeah, Drew lives in California.
Yep, they have 7% tax there. That, and even if it was 6%, that tax would still be high enough to actually bring it into $8,000. So.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm back.
All right.
Just had to take a call. What's up?
Discussing how you can buy a MacBook for $8,000.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe they get that expensive.
But what I was saying about the Tough Book, it's like if he's already losing his data, why would he install Windows XP? Why wouldn't he upgrade while he's already reinstalling Windows, you know?
Well, I don't know how Windows... well, just like you can't install some versions of iOS on various iPhones, I think it might have something to do with Windows and older chips.
I'd assume that computer would do 7.
Yeah. Surely that
Maybe it's older
98
than
computer can't run Windows. The newest it could probably run is if it came with 98, the newest it can run is probably 7, and yeah, and if it has a Pentium 4, then maybe it can go to 10. But it won't run it very well.
I don't know why someone would want to put 10 on there, but
Huh?
I don't know why someone would want to put 10 on that, but yeah.
10 especially. Oh my
10.
gosh, it was so bad.
I don't know why anyone would want to put 10 on anything, but
You can put Windows. You can if it has a Pentium 4, then you could realistically with a lot of patchwork could put Windows 11 on it.
It would probably run like
Yeah.
crap though.
Yeah, there was a YouTuber that managed to get.
what doesn't Windows run?
Just because it
horribly
runs,
on?
it doesn't mean it's going to run well at all.
Yeah, Enderman managed to put Windows 11 on a Pentium 4 system.
Who?
Enderman, a YouTuber.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, there's that.
It's nice.
All right. Speaking of money, shall we move on to our next topic, which involves Rivian?
Oh, yeah, this. I just finished filming a video of that an hour ago. Or, no, 2 hours ago, excuse me.
Rivian just got a $5 billion investment from Volkswagen. I'm impressed.
Tabby, your thoughts?
Rivian is... Huh. I mean...
Because I
I
know
guess.
you like Rivian,
Yeah,
and
I
I know
like-
you really love Volkswagen Group.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, speaking
I guess
of
we're
which,
gonna
I
have to
stopped by
see.
their factory on my way here.
Oh, where is the
Oh, that's
Volks?
cool.
Rivian's
The Rivian factory, yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was about to say you wouldn't have driven by Chattanooga where the Volkswagen plant
Yeah,
is.
I didn't drive to Chattanooga, but I did go to Normal, Illinois, where the Rivian factory was. Sadly, the showroom was closed, so I couldn't check out any Rivians.
Maybe it'll be open when you come back.
I'm not taking that route, though, this time.
Oh, you're going through Chicago?
I'm gonna have to. Gosh.
Good luck.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surprised how well I've been handling traffic for the past week. Because, again, keep in mind, I live in the middle of nowhere where traffic is so much lighter. And the worst type of traffic I typically deal with is just college kids who have no idea how the Uper loop works. And various other situations,
I mean-
like snow and ice.
all traffic really is just people going slow
Yeah.
and like
But then
stop
you
and
also
go
have
stuff. But
multiple lanes
I guess I'm
beside you
just so
that you
used
have to
to
pay
it.
attention to as well.
Yeah.
Oh
Unless you're
yeah,
in
and
Atlanta
of
or
course, at least in my area,
unless you're in
at least in
Atlanta or
my area,
Miami, then traffic, then it's high speed traffic.
I don't know. I mean, in my area, it's like 1 out of every 10 people use their turn signals, and
So true.
every time I get into traffic, I don't even give these people mercy anymore. I just every time they try coming over in my lane without a turn signal, I honk at them.
That's fair. I would do the same
Because I'm like,
thing.
if you're gonna do that, especially in traffic, and half the time they're on their phones. If they
Yeah,
don't
that is
use
like
their
the
signal, I'm
worst
not
time
letting
to
them
use
in.
your
I don't
phone.
care.
Out of all times to use your phone on the road,
I
which
don't
is,
even,
again, you shouldn't do because it's just a stupid idea in general. But if you had to
it's
do
a
it for
stupid
whatever
idea.
reason, doing it on the freeway like that is the worst place to do it.
There's no reason for these people to just like do the stuff they do. Also, what kind of curtains are those behind you? The like red
Oh,
ones. That looks kind of
one
cool.
sec. Yep.
Is that from the hotel? Oh, that
Yeah,
looks
these
nice.
are really nice
I like
curtains.
that.
Are you gonna? Maybe you should
Wow.
ask the hotel where they got them so we could get them for your own room.
I think the hotel would get mad and kick him out.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really good news for both parties. For one, obviously Rivian needs money, and we all love their products, so it's good news for them. But also, it's no secret, especially in Volkswagen's electric lineup, and it's not just Volkswagen specifically; it's also Audi and Porsche as well. Their software's just not great. And I'm not even joking. You might not have experienced it because you haven't sat in a Taycan for an extended period of time, but every now and then the Taycan will have some weird bugs.
Yeah, I've dealt with the camera. The camera on the thing sucks.
Yeah, so e- Volkswagen Group software in general is just not great. That's what Volkswagen is getting out of the deal from Rivian, which actually I think is an excellent choice to source software from. Wasim, I don't remember his last name, but Wasim is the guy at Rivian in charge of software. He's a genius when it comes to it. He's been absolutely nailing software. So yeah,
Hopefully
definitely
it'll
the
be
right
good.
people to approach, and this is really a win-win for both parties.
Yeah. Hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm
that'll be
hoping it
good.
turns a good
Yeah, also,
results. Yes.
Alpha mostly summed it up, but I'm quite stoked since I like both Rivian and I like Volkswagen products. But I guess we shall move on to our, well, at least mine, Alpha's favorite car company, being that, on that topic, being that Alpha drove the entire Tesla sexy lineup.
I have all
Oh,
of
you
them,
drive all
all
them?
4 sexy models.
But not the, you have you
Damn.
driven the Cybertruck?
No, they won't even let me in it, but I at least got to stand next to the Cybertruck.
Ah, that's cool.
So I guess now I am technically the closest person to get to a Cybertruck. Or I'm... Between the 3 of us, I was the closest person to a Cybertruck. Because at least from what I know from Tabby, he's only driven by it. He saw it passing by. I don't think he stood next to one.
Oh no, I was able to get in, like I wasn't able to get in it, but I was able to check out the exterior in detail.
Oh, so
of
you
a
got to
Founders
stand next to
Edition,
it too. So I guess we're
Foundation
even
Edition.
then.
Yeah. I didn't get to go in it though.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw a Cybertruck or not. I know I've seen there's a Rivian.
Aiden
in my
has gone
town
into one now.
Oh,
But I
that's
know that,
exciting.
but I don't think. But I haven't seen a. I don't think I've seen a Cybertruck in
Yeah,
person.
dude, there are
yet.
so many Rivians around here, by the way. So many Rivians.
I'm not so.
It's crazy.
There seems to be a lot of them in the Midwest.
Well, I'm
I've
in the
seen a couple of
Southeast
them in
right
my
now.
area. I mean, you see everything in my area. I've seen this goofy model. Is it X or Y with
The X.
fold-up doors? I've seen that thing. There's this dude who always drives it on the same road, and he stopped at the stoplight, and he makes the wings flap.
Looks like. I thought that was the
And
DeLorean that did
it's
that.
No, because every panel on the car is a different color. It's like he got it wrapped like in a bunch of different pastel colors. And he made the wings flap, and he was... I've seen the dude like 3 or 4 times. Every time I point it, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, I guess every area has people like that. For me, there's this god-awful, hideous-looking Toyota Prius coated in anime stickers. And there's this giant
God.
anime sticker on the entire back windshield, so there's no rear visibility for that guy, and it looks hideous.
Oh,
Who the hell does that to their stuff?
I don't.
Oh, man.
Oh, I see. The worst I see is there's two things that I've seen in my area that are quite ridiculous. So, number one, so the most ridiculous thing I see in my area is the Carolina Squad.
Yep.
I see a bunch of vehicles with that.
The hell's that?
So it's a Carolina Squat is when you raise the front wheels of your vehicle but not the back ones.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's a huge risk of safety too, which is why some states are banning it.
For
but-
example, North
The
Carolina.
other stupid thing yeah, they were fake. In South Carolina too.
Yeah, the Carolinas have banned
Yeah,
the
no,
Carolina
Squad.
Squad. That's so
Alright,
ironic.
I guess. And there's a pretty famous lawyer in my area, in some states in the Southeast that I'm not going to say who he is, but there's a pretty famous lawyer that puts his billboards up everywhere. And some guy literally there's been a couple of cars in my area that have literally gotten their cars wrapped to advertise that guy.
Oh gosh.
Oh, what?
I'll put his name. Do you want me to put his name in the chat so you guys might want to know who it is?
Yeah, I want to check this dude out.
I mean, I personally don't care, but whatever.
I'm gonna check this fellow out. Oh yeah, he is an attorney. Why does he have Instagram?
Advertising? I don't know.
He's very famous, you know. He's a celebrity at this point.
Yeah?
I mean, he's not quite a celebrity, but you recognize him as soon. But I recognize him, and there's another guy that you recognize straight from the ads too. That I'll put in the chat.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's a.
This is so weird, this dude.
He's
He's like an influencer.
what?
Lawyers nowadays.
Let me look up. Let me look it up.
Oh, and he's posting about Atlanta.
Oh my! Oh my! I'm looking at it now. Oh
Can we get
my
back on topic,
God.
please?
You know, let's
Yeah.
stop talking about this
All right.
goofy lawyer.
All right, let's get back on to Alpha driving the whole Tesla lineup.
Yeah. So, I started with the Model X. That was the initial vehicle I signed up for the test drive thing, and that's because it's the most expensive vehicle, and it's also the one that it's the ultimate car that I really want to own someday. So I decided to give myself the opportunity by test driving that first. And despite it being a crossover, you guys know my thoughts on crossovers. I hate them. But the Model X just
Except for that
did
one.
not feel like it. From a driving perspective, from a sitting in the vehicle perspective, it did not feel like a crossover at all. In fact, actually, to many people's surprise, the images don't do it justice, but that vehicle is actually a lot lower to the ground than you think. Yeah.
Think so?
That's good.
I did actually
kinda
get
see that
sedan
when I was in
vibes
one.
sitting in that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So to me, it kind of felt like a sedan, because the roof is also lower than your average crossover SUV. It's not like station wagon levels low, but it's lower than your typical crossover SUV. It felt like a really large sedan instead of a crossover.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was technically a crossover when I first saw photos of it.
Yeah, the Model X was supposed to be Tesla's first crossover SUV. That's at least how they market it. But when I sat in that thing and I drove it, it just didn't feel that way. Which really caught me by surprise, and in a good way, because you know that I prefer sedans over crossovers. So
do I.
yeah, just driving that thing, I fell in love with that instantly. Except for the interior, because it was a black interior and it happened to have been 100 degrees that day.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I had AC on full blast.
That is one thing that I like about the Q5.
Yeah, the bright interior. If you own a car in a hot climate, getting a black
Yeah.
interior is always a mistake. And the only reason why you should do it is if you really care about the looks that much, to the point where you'd rather burn your skin for the sake of looks.
Oh yes, you don't need to tell me. Because the air conditioner went out in my car during the summer, and mind you, in the southeastern United States.
Oh, that just
For a
happened?
brief moment, it got locked out. Yes, in my car, it actually there's a black interior and a black exterior. The air conditioner got locked up to the point where I had to get new refrigerant, so it's fine now. But I had to drop. But there was a brief moment when I had to literally drive all its windows down whenever I would drive somewhere.
I mean, I don't complain about
And
that, because that's
and
how
then
I prefer to cool
with
myself
the-
down. But
and the air conditioner all on full blast, even though it wasn't really effective. And it got the nickname the oven.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, just from owning Stardust, that is the last black interior car I will ever own. I will never buy a car with a black interior ever again.
My car is going. I will never buy. Neither will I. Just in case the AC goes out in the summer.
And I'm even saying this as someone who lives way up north. So,
Well, it gets quite hot where you are, to be fair. So
yeah, the black interior was the one thing I didn't like about the X.
I don't know, I think-
But of course, you can obviously option it for a white or a cream interior.
I think black interiors just look worse in general. Just, I don't know. I just don't
In
like
some cars,
look of them.
they work well, but yeah,
They look
in
cheap to
some
me.
cars it actually looks pretty good, but the majority out there, I have not found that to be the case. In fact, I am so confused why Buick did what they did, where they made the base interior color option this beautiful cream, but then the black interior is an upcharge.
they did what? Or who did what?
They upcharge the black interior.
So
Tesla?
no, Buick. This was with my car, Stardust.
Oh.
So if you wanted a Buick LaCrosse, the cheapest one possible, the base interior option was a cream color, which looks gorgeous. But they have an option where you can pay more to get a black interior. I don't know who in their right mind would do that.
Such nonsense. The black interior just looks like unpainted to
Yeah.
me. You know,
Because that cream interior option on my car is so beautiful.
like
And the
unpainted.
cream option in the Model X also looks so beautiful. In fact, you rarely ever see cream interior Teslas. Most of the time, it's either black or white.
Yeah, I'm glad that I replaced the floor mats. The stock floor mats in my car were actually black, but I replaced them with blue floor mats, so looks a little. So at least it doesn't get
with
quite. as-
what?
I replaced the floor mats in my Mercedes with blue floor mats instead of black ones, because the black ones are falling apart.
Okay. My mom was trying to call me at the moment. Yeah, my biggest surprise from the whole thing really was the Model X. That was my biggest surprise. I did not expect it to drive the way it did. And I'm really happy that it drove the way it did. And so, yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. Next, I drove the refresh Model 3, the car that I actually plan on buying once I have the money for it. I think that was my favorite Tesla that I had actually driven. Like, the Model X was great, but it still had size. The Model 3, just being a smaller vehicle, was the thing that really helped with the driving dynamics of it, and also it being a smaller vehicle in general. It just helped, but it was so awesome to spend time in the Model 3. That was the only Tesla I was in with a white interior, by the way. The rest all had black interiors. So
I guess people will prefer black interiors for whatever reason.
I don't know why. It does not make sense to me because it gets so toasty in the summer, and also it's kind of boring without contrast.
Yeah. I don't know why my dad keeps buying cars with black interiors, since literally I can't remember a single one of his cars that didn't have black interiors.
But yeah, so to me, it was also very important that the Model 3 refresh that I drove had the white interior, because obviously that's the interior I'm going to spec. It was so gorgeous. So gorgeous. The materials were so soft. The seats, again, I've never been in any other seat more comfortable than Tesla seats. And yesterday just completely confirmed that, because I've been in all 4 Tesla models at this point. I also got to charge them all. On my test drive, I drove past a charging station, so I plugged it into a supercharger to see what it would do. And
Wow.
Did it charge?
such a massive difference, because, as you know, I've reviewed other electric cars in the past, and I've taken them to my charge point station. Such a huge difference in experience plugging in a CCS car from a Tesla, because with the CCS car, first you have to activate the station. Sometimes the station will say plug in the vehicle first. Here's a quick tip: never do that. Never plug the vehicle in first. It will always error out. So you have to first pay at the station, be it with an app most of the time, because most charging stations stupidly do not accept credit cards. I don't know why. It's just bad that they need to stop. So I first have to pull out my ChargePoint card in the wallet app of my Apple Watch, get that scan. Then I have to take this super heavy CCS cable and work the massive size of that plug to get it in perfectly. You got to get it positioned perfectly or it will not insert. And when it's a massive plug, it's not easy to work with. Then get that plug in, and then you have to pray that it starts charging. Compared to when...
Which, if you know
compared to when I took the Tesla to the supercharger, it was always, I pulled in, I grabbed the plug. It was so easy to maneuver that thing. I pushed the button. It automatically opened the charge port. I inserted the plug without any hassle at all. And 6 seconds after I plug it in, it starts charging. That's the difference in experience. Nice. So,
and do Tesla supercharger stations accept credit cards or debit cards?
Version 4 is supposed to have some payment terminals where if you have a tap card, you can use tap cards with it, I think. But current version 3 and older chargers, no, they don't support that because they were designed to work with Teslas, where all Teslas use a plug-in charge standard. So that's how they work. So that's why it was also kind of simple. And I hope more EVs support plug-in charge because it gets rid of the whole... As much as Alec from Technology Connection says that plug-in charge isn't necessary and credit card readers are the way to go and how he's never had issues with credit card readers, I'm sorry. I have actually always had issues with credit card readers. So...
Yeah, there's so many issues with those.
So, yeah, if plug-in charge is an option, I will always use that because I don't like haggling with credit cards. I don't like having to pull out my wallet and such. If I can just put my credit card in the car and the car will communicate to the charger, this is the car that you charge, then I'll just do that. I'll let the car handle the payment and let me just plug in the vehicle and walk away. And with a Tesla, you can do that. And you can always count on it starting to charge. It is ever rare that is not the experience at a supercharger. Yeah. So nice. I did that with all 4 vehicles. The Model S, strangely, I felt at home in the Model S.
I'm not surprised since it's their best sedan.
Well, not only that, but it's actually... I mean, it's still shorter than Stardust. Again, I own the longest sedan in the world, basically. So, it's still shorter than Stardust, but the interior room felt so similar. So, I felt so... Yeah, it really did.
Really?
And again, the reason why Buick sedans are always so freaking long is because they devote all of that extra space to the back seat. So there's always a ton of interior room in there. And because electric vehicles don't have to make room for a combustion engine and various other components, you can stretch out the interior within the same dimensions of the exterior of the vehicle because you don't need to fit that many components. So, yeah, the Model S, I felt really at home in that vehicle.
Yeah.
And then the Model Y, the last one.
Nice.
The Model Y, all of the Teslas except the Model Y were the long range. The Model Y that I drove was the performance.
Whoa.
Oh.
I didn't care for it.
They probably had it limited so the performance wasn't...
No, the only thing they limited was the top speed of it, which makes sense. But no, the performance was there. Yeah. It's just... The Model Y actually felt the most crossover-y.
Were you able to have fun with it at least?
It felt more like a crossover than the Model X, despite the Model X technically being a bigger vehicle. And I think it comes down to the way that... I think it came down to mostly the seating position. Because you know how crossovers like to have a higher ride height?
Oh.
Yeah.
So with the Model S and the Model X, I don't think they do... I think the reason why the Model X doesn't feel like a crossover is because I don't think the seat in the Model X is actually higher up. I think it's at the same level as in the Model S, which is why it felt like a sedan to me, like a really big sedan. But the Model Y, what they did was they took the Model 3 seat and they literally put it on risers. I'm not joking.
What?
The way they handled positioning that seat is the way they lifted it up, They put it on risers. And it is fixed at a rider.
Comfortable.
It is fixed at a higher ride height. So as a result, I can't get the seat lower, and it feels so crossovery to me, and I hate driving those. I really do not like driving those because I feel disconnected from the road, despite, again, this is a Model Y performance. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that aspect of it was really what ruined the Model Y for me. But
I mean, it's
yeah,
an
it is.
SUV, right?
The Model Y is supposed to be the crossover version of the Model 3. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I did not really care for that, and it was all because it felt much like a crossover, which again explains why I'm so surprised with the Model X. Because the Model X is technically bigger in every dimension, but it did not feel like it.
I gotta check when those out.
So,
Yeah.
I don't like to be that kind of guy, but it is 7:55 p.m. currently, so
I do have one more thing I want
do
to
you
bring
guys
up,
think
though.
we should begin? What is that? Oh, there's an Apple TV at your hotel.
No.
Oh, you bought one?
For what
Nice.
room of your house?
It's not going to have a dedicated home at the moment, but
Just nice to have something that you've brought with you since then. Something that
yeah,
shared the trip with
I
you.
wanted a personal souvenir for myself, and I'm not into the typical gift shop stuff. I mean, there's some things that are pretty cool, but the problem is if I get stuff that's purely for decoration, then all it does is become clutter, and you guys have seen my room. And not just you two, I'm talking about the entire internet. You've all seen my room in my studio tours. It is a flippin' mess. So as a result, when I get stuff, I want to make sure it's actually stuff that I can actually use and not just be a decoration. This is technically going to be a decoration for the time being, but I know once I move out, I get my own place, I have my own TV, it will definitely get used for that. And I think in the meantime, when I want to use this, I'll just plug it into a monitor.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, it would be cool.
But you're planning on moving out in the foreseeable future?
At some point. It'll still be a few years because, again, reasons that I know Teddy hates it when I bring it up. It's economical reasons, and then the housing market is just so bad right now.
Yeah, the housing. Yeah, the housing market's a fair reason to bring up, but won't this Apple TV be obsolete or at least really outdated by the time you move out anyway?
It's a 4K 60 hertz TV. TVs haven't moved that far.
I meant the box.
I don't think the box should be that big of an issue. I know somebody who still uses an Apple TV HD.
Yeah, but those are apparently what I hear really slow on tvOS 18 beta, which, yes, they still support A8 processors.
Well, you said beta.
Yeah.
So. Then again, it's a TV. You're not using it to export videos. You're just using it for video playback. That's not a difficult task.
Yeah, I mean, what they could, Apple could. Yeah, as I should know because as somebody who has experience with an old Apple TV, and somewhat.
So yeah, I don't care about the actual speed of the TV processing. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is the design and the layout of it. And now Samsung's really been baking more ads into their TVs. I've finally been getting...
I will never buy another Samsung TV in my life if they keep doing that.
And then for me, we keep having a bug with ours where it
resets
weirdly. So... I just want a software experience I know I can rely on. And also rely on it not to change much.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really concerned with how these age. that, and I currently don't own a TV, but I know when I do, I'm not going to upgrade it that frequently. I'm going to hold on to that thing until it's basically dead, because TV innovations, they don't happen that fast. I mean, how long does the average person hold on to their TV?
My grandmother held on to her Toshiba TV for 14 years.
My parents have held on to theirs for at least 20.
They use a 20-year-old TV?
It's an appliance.
Is it a CRT?
I mean, it's appliance. As
Yeah.
long as your LCD doesn't burn out.
Well, our
you're
TV
good.
actually never burned out. It's just we want a new family member was coming in and we needed more space. And yeah, for so long we had this giant box, and it was a 55-inch screen, but it was a CRT, and it was this giant box.
Oh.
They've had that for like 20 years. And it
Wow.
still worked when we got rid of it. Nothing
9, by
went
the
wrong
way.
with that. The speakers, which by the way, the sound system of that thing, it had a built-in subwoofer. It was a really great TV. It lasted a long time. Nothing on it ever broke. Yeah, so
Surprises me.
Yeah, CRT TVs actually have a tendency to last quite a while.
What brand was it? Like
I
Sharp or
think
something?
it was
Panasonic, maybe?
Panasonic. I don't remember, but I think it was Panasonic.
That's nice. Panasonic
Yeah.
makes some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that TV was great. Despite that, it was old and it took up a lot of space in the house. It was a great TV.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually missed the sound system from that. It was so good. Because now we're relying on the built-in speakers of our flat screen, and anyone who knows anything about sound dynamics knows that flat screen TVs are never going to make as good of sound as the old big box CRT TVs.
That's very
buy a
valid
soundbar.
science.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to TV ownership, most people, I mean, tech enthusiasts are an exception. Got to remember that. Because, like, I expect Tabby to upgrade his TV more often than most people.
Yeah, usually I try and keep mine till the next technology comes out. You know, I had the 3D TV that I had a 4K TV at one point, but it was a cheap one, so I had that 3D TV. Now I got the OLED. Gonna keep that.
But yeah,
until-
someone like you, I know, would frequently update
until
their
it gets
TV
too bad at
because
burning.
you're a tech enthusiast and care much about new technologies coming out. For me, though, a TV is basically an appliance that I will use until it wears out. Because, I mean, as long as it's 4K and 60 hertz at this point, and the colors are fairly decent, then why bother replacing the panel?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Alright.
Main thing for me, I wanted a OLED because of the pixel
Yeah.
black, whatever. Because I use my TV at night, so I have the TV on the lowest brightness, and I just really like to have a dark environment. And I still wish this TV
Yeah.
could go
Our
way dimmer
our current
than it
TV
can.
back home is a
Um,
Samsung QLED panel.
Oh.
It-
had one of
it's a
those at
nice
one
one.
point. It was
When we don't do
good
TV
display.
upgrades very often, but when we do, we go big on it. So,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, I did not go big when I got a TV for my room. I literally just got a cheap TV so I could have a TV out as part of my Halloween display out on my front porch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my TV's just 32-inch, and I just have it so that way in case I ever need to plug in my Apple TV for something that I can. But again, I rarely use my TV for much.
yeah.
You need to clean the screen on that thing. Every one of your tours, it's like you treat it like a touch screen.
I do not. It just gets that I don't touch that TV very much.
Might be the cats.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I tried to set this up
Cats
on.
think that it's a touch
I have
screen.
2 TVs in my hotel room. There's one right up above me. Then there's the one in the background right there. I tried to set this up, but for some reason I had no volume controls. And I don't think it's because of the TV box itself. The way these TVs in this room works is so weird. I don't know. It's a separate box that's plugged in, but the remote, it doesn't specifically control the TV remote that I used to turn it on. It doesn't specifically control the TV, but I don't know where the software box. I don't even know how it communicates with the remote. It makes whatever setup they have here makes no sense to me.
Is it? Do you have cable TV at your hotel?
There's an option to use that, but it also has a smart TV box where I can load up Netflix and YouTube if I wanted to. In fact, actually, when I got into the room and got checked in, one of the TVs was on and it had a welcome screen displaying my name. So yeah, it's like, welcome. I can't say my name, my real name. So, but yeah.
Welcome Alpha.
Yeah, it had that on the TV, so that means they've got some proprietary stuff going on there that I don't know how it works. And somehow that remote is involved. And I do get sound out of this, but the problem is it's locked at 100% volume and I cannot change it. I can't even mute it.
That's a major problem.
Yeah. So I know it works. It's just whatever setup they have here is screwing with so much with the TV that I just can't get everything to work. So hopefully the hotel I'm staying at tomorrow night, because again, I'm leaving Asheville tomorrow. Hopefully they don't have as intricate or complicated of a setup so I can actually properly try to use this. But for the most part, when I get home, if I do use this, it's getting plugged into a monitor and I'm using my HomePod for sound.
All right.
So, but yeah, this is...
Want to make a review on it?
Yeah, I'll make a review on this. But yeah, I guess this is my souvenir from Asheville, or actually, no, I did buy this in Asheville. I bought this at the Best Buy. I didn't buy this in Charlotte. Oh, I should also give an update. I mentioned that I was going to get the battery replaced in my iPhone XS Max.
You did?
I decided against it.
How come?
Because the talk of the Apple Store employees, they did not sound confident in their own work.
Oh, yeah, there's been some store cases of badly repaired iPhones.
So, because they were... And, they actively told me they weren't confident in their own work. So, they said they have a backup plan should something go wrong, where if they break your iPhone even further, then they basically give you a replacement of that exact model. But they didn't have any in stock. And they'd have to... according to... I learned something about Apple today. These are still technically being made on the factory line, but they have to be special ordered by the Apple Store.
I figured they still technically made them on the factory.
So,
had a case about a year ago where someone's XS Max blew up, and they took it to Apple, and Apple gave them a brand new one, which was manufactured months prior.
Yeah, so the confidence of the employees actually doing the work really did not help. And then I realized my lifestyle, for the most part, this thing is always near a charger. There's a charger at my desk. It's always plugged in the car so I can use Apple CarPlay. And so with that, I really don't... I guess I'm learning that I really don't need as big of a battery life in my phone, at least for my lifestyle today. That could change in the future. But for the most part, this is always plugged in anyways. And if I do need a charge, I'm always near a charger. So...
the reason why I don't replace the batteries in even in some of my collection phones, let me grab it. This iPhone 6s is just because I don't really, again, these are collection phones, but even then, I still usually always need a charger with my collection phones.
Mm-hmm. And even then, say my lifestyle changes where I do need a better battery life, I've got this.
And it's not like the 10. And the 10s Max is probably going to lose support after another year or so.
So, yeah, I decided, you know what? I think it's just fine as it is.
Or actually, it'll probably lose support for 19.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to get iOS 19, but I'm going to enjoy iOS 18 on that
Right?
thing. Well,
I doubt it was going to get. I thought it might get 19, but. Again, I don't know Apple's support patterns anymore.
dude, I'm going to be so devastated the day that I have to take my SIM out of it purely because of software support.
I understand, as I've had to live with devices plenty of times and to be on their software support terminal ends.
Because still, I can't find a better iPhone than this. Like
Maybe Apple will change that with the 16 series.
yeah, the only thing that's holding me back with this thing really is it's just because it naturally degrades over time. Batteries degrade over time. There's nothing we can do about that. But this phone has held up so well. The complete opposite of Tavi's experiences with 10s Maxes or 10s's in general. And
it held up a lot better than my iPhone XS.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, for me
Yes.
at least, I cannot find a better iPhone than the one I am holding right now. So. Yep, there's that. I think I've got no more to talk about. I talked about basically the whole Tesla experience. So.
Yeah, I've got nothing more to talk about, and I'm getting ready to want to wrap up, so does Dad have anything more to say before we wrap up?
Nah.
Alright. As always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fanboy Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Magger from the iTunes Fanboy.
Tabby Cat 406 or TC
My name is
Tech.
Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha.
And as always, we're saying peace out, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Take care.